I request the team to play Dr. Rattan Lal's message and request you to dim this translate Akash.
I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Nutan Kaushik and her colleagues in BioAgri program for inviting me to talk about transforming India's food production systems. Immediately after the UN Food System Summit, this is a very important topic to discuss. India's agriculture, as we have talked many times, we had a green revolution that increased the grain production by a factor of 6, horticulture production factor of 10, white revolution milk factor of 9, the blue revolution factor of 13, fish production. India really is a remarkable success story. Grain export at $40 billion per year, more than 20 million ton, and grain buffer stock standing at 50 million ton. Population decreased tremendously, yet 20% of the population is still below the poverty line, and more than 200 million people are food insecure. One poor person and one person going to bed hungry is one too many, and that is not acceptable. And therefore, we need to revisit the green revolution and see something which was so great 50, 60 years ago, how can it be modified, improved, and made more innovative to address the current issues. One problem was it was cereal-centric, rice and wheat. It was based on inputs, fertilizer, pesticides, irrigation, energy, monoculture. It was driven by subsidies and procurement, and it led to environmental degradation that we know for sure, soil degradation, water exploitation, water eutrophication, and pollution of air, and greenhouse gas emission from agriculture along with other sectors. However, I must, in the defense of the green revolution especially, the problem is not in the technology, the problem is using technology inappropriately. Over-fertilization, unbalanced fertilization, indiscriminate use of pesticides, excessive and flood-based irrigation, unnecessary plowing, in-field burning of crop residues, uncontrolled grazing. And these practices have aggravated the environmental problems. Soil degradation in India by water erosion, wind erosion, water logging, salinity, acidity, complex problem, brick making, scalping of the topsoil, and depletion of soil organic matter content are amongst many issues. The emissions from agricultural sector, from the livestock, which India has the largest livestock population of the world. Manure management also lead to emissions. Of course, synthetic fertilizer. When the use efficiency of nitrogen fertilizer is low, it's converted into nitrate in water or into N2O going into the atmosphere. Burning of crop residues is really something which is burning a gold if it is used properly, rather than burning it because we do not use the technology properly. One other part which is very important, realize when you have increasing the yield, either due to increasing fertilizer, improved varieties, or due to CO2 fertilization effect, there is a dilution effect of plant nutrients in the food that we consume. The nutritional quality can decrease because of increase in production by inputs of fertilizer, CO2 fertilization effect. Thus, the focus is shifting to enhancing and sustaining soil health through innovative agriculture practices and managing natural resources judiciously and prudently so that we have nutrition-sensitive agriculture. Food insecure India, I already mentioned more than 30% of the population is affected in terms of the Indian food insecure people, and the government spends a lot of money, GDP 1% or more, on helping poor, those who cannot afford food. Yet the nexus between soil health and human health is not properly recognized. Human health, in fact, is a fingerprint of soil health, and it can be improved by restoration of soil health or degraded, polluted, and contaminated soils. Therefore, restoration of soil organic matter content to above the threshold level, 4 to 5% of organic matter or 1.5 to 2% of organic carbon, can improve soil health and nutritional quality of the food produced. Diet and human health are linked. Our scriptures say that very appropriately. When diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. And when diet is correct, medicine is of no need. Feed, in fact, is medicine. Good quality diet is very good medicine. And that is an important concept because diet quality also depends on the environment. Consumption of healthy and sustainable diet, such as coarse grains, pulses, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, improve health, reduces greenhouse gas emission, improves water resources, and strengthens biodiversity. It is indeed a win-win-win-win, four-win choice because of those multiple benefits. So food systems, they encompass many processes. Production of food by agriculture, just one part. Growing food is only one. Transporting, processing, distributing, using, preparing, consuming, and disposing the waste are the other component. And that's what the food system is. So the question is, this food system from agriculture, fishery, forestry, and other sources, how to improve it. So it's a pro-nature, pro-poor, pro-human, but pro-nature is very important part. Limitation of the present food system, especially for India and worldwide, it has failed to end hunger and malnutrition. It has not provided adequate nutritious food, healthy diet, and safe food. Degraded soils, polluted water, aggravated global warming, dwindled biodiversity, and denuded landscapes. 30% of all greenhouse gases globally come from food production system. Agriculture is a part of that. And so how do you transform India's and global food system? That is what the Food System Summit was all about. Restoring soil and biophysical environments. Unfortunately, regrettably, sadly, disappointingly, this component was not properly documented in this report of the Secretary General. We missed an opportunity. India should not be said. Restoring soil and biophysical environment, improving social equity and addressing human dimensions, adopting prudent governance, identifying and implementing site-specific game-changing solutions, strengthening human resource development, and creating global science policy interface for sustainable food systems. The technological innovation between 2020 and 50 are going to be remarkable. More changes are going to happen between now and 2050 than have happened since the onset of agriculture 10,000 years ago, 8,000 BC. Recarbonization of the soil biosphere, pro-nature agriculture, saving land for nature, climate-resilient agriculture, eco-intensification, rhizospheric processes and phytobiome management, robotic and soil-less agriculture, urban agriculture and sky farming, space farming and soil processes under hypergravity condition, space agriculture, so to say, precision agriculture, the nexus approach, nutrition-sensitive farming. Farming to produce nutrient-rich food. I'll come back to that point in a moment. Farming soil with plants, farming soil, rather than farming plants. Farming soil, maintaining soil health. And those plants that emit molecular-based signal for remote sensing and targeted intervention, and farming carbon. These are some of the technological innovation. The main theme is negative emission agriculture, reducing carbon emissions from farm operations, sequestering carbon in terrestrial ecosystems, soil, trees, wetlands, minelands, degraded land. And this is where some of the bio processes, bio-intensive agriculture. And one way to do that is regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture is inspired by eco-innovation. It's powered by non-carbon energy. It's driven by a circular economy and green infrastructure, supported by the recarbonization of the terrestrial biosphere as the bedrock of sustainable development. We must have a nature-positive agriculture. The idea is to protect, manage, and restore soil strengthen biodiversity, improve water quality and renewability, adopt negative emission farming, not neutral emission farming, negative emission farming, reducing input of chemical, using biostimulants and organic amendments, biostimulants and organic amendments. So the soil health is improved. Soil is a rich source of organism. They need biostimulant. They need food. That means recycling biomass. And promoting, of course, biocircular economy for supporting the One Health concept. And using digital innovation. What is One Health concept? The health of soil, plants, animal, people, and the environment is one and indivisible. These bio-innovation involve example as conservation agriculture. India reportedly has about 1 million hectares, but million out of 140 is very small. Regenerative agriculture, agroecology, agroforestry, integration of crops, trees, and livestock, and practices a positive soil ecosystem carbon budget, C and PK, through integrated soil fertility management and recycling bio-waste and drip fertigation rather than flood irrigation. Here is an example of conservation agriculture. It means keeping the ground always covered, crop residue living on the surface, not burning it, not grazing it, not taking it away. It is this part of crop residue which is share of the land. Grains for people, residue for the soil. Keep the ground covered, protected against the climatic element. This is climate resilient agriculture. And carbon-based farming means growing a cover crop, forage in the off-season, and fertilizer which is carbon-based, C and PK. If we have more C in soil, which most of the soils of India, especially southwest, the era of green revolution area region, Punjab, Haryana, UP, Rajasthan, all that area, carbon is depleted to sometimes as low as 0.2% in the root zone, in the surface layer. It should be 2%, 1.5%. Therefore, carbon-based fertilization. I like to mention something about coastal ecosystem, which when we talk about food production, we miss them. Coastal ecosystems in India cover more than 7,500 kilometers out of a global total of 440,000 kilometers. In India, these sources, coastal ecosystem, numerous ecosystem services generated from there, especially for nature conservancy. Therefore, cropping system on uplands that feed water into the coastal ecosystem is very important to managing the health of the coastal ecosystem. Therefore, you are not managing upland ecosystem just for food production, but also making sure that the coastal region which receive water are also protected. And upland protection can be by conservation agriculture. We already mentioned many of those practices are very critical to protect the coastal ecosystem. Coastal ecosystem also have a blue carbon. You know, the carbon which is in water in the swamp area, for example, the Sundarban area, very important biodiverse area, most beautiful area of the world, as you know from our own cultural tradition, yet very strongly being degraded, depleted, polluted because of the water runoff coming from area where upland watersheds are not managed properly. Cropping systems which have impact on coastal ecosystem, drastic perturbation of the global carbon cycle that lead to decoupling of elemental cycling, perturbation of the carbon cycle leading to global warming, accelerated erosion, transport of sediments and pollutants into the coastal areas, water pollution and scarcity, and loss of biodiversity, and of course, soil degradation and desertification. All these things impact the coastal ecosystem very badly. Agricultural practices of the inland watershed that can protect the coastal area, conversion of natural to agricultural ecosystems, too much plowing, too much input of chemicals, monoculture, excessive grazing, biomass burning, urbanization, mining, wetland drainage, heavy metal effluent, all of these eventually end up into the ultimate grave, ocean. And that all pollutants go through the coastal ecosystem into the ocean. Farming carbon, most farmers in India are resource poor, small landholder, and carbon and ecosystem services payment can also uplift their farm income and alleviate poverty. I would like to mention briefly importance of bio-innovation to urban farming. Urban cities in India are growing very rapidly. Delhi, for example, between 50 and 2030 will increase by a factor of 30, Calcutta by a factor of 4, Bombay by 9, Pune by 10, Hyderabad by 12, Bangalore 12, and all these cities, mega cities, which are more than 10 million people, require food, 6,000 tons of it per day. And therefore, we must recycle the nutrients coming into the cities to produce food, part of the food, say 15, 20% within the city limits by recycling the black and gray water. Urban land should also be planned properly rather than ad hocly. Opportunity for reducing emissions, making up quarter of the Earth's surface in rural land, and opportunity to sequester carbon in rural, also the forest land on a global scale as well as in India can improve the carbon sequestration. The future of India lies in the villages, but the villages are disappearing very rapidly because of rapid urbanization. So somehow urban planning is very critical. Also making sure that the topsoil is not depleted by brick making rather than scalping everywhere, perhaps identifying it at the seal level, county level, district level, a certain area where soil can be mined to deeper layer for brick making rather than taking soil from everywhere else. Urbanization in India takes about 40,000 hectares to accommodate 1 million people, and increase in population of India every year is about 12 million. That means you are taking about 500,000 hectares of land to urban expansion. And by 2025, India will have 7 cities of more than 10 million people. And each city, as I mentioned, requires 6,000 tons of food. Therefore, growing food within this city by green system technology, recycling biomass and recycling waste product and producing food, and having cities which are low carbon cities. Most transition towns also should be very clear about not degrading land. So going back to Gandhi's vision, can Gandhi's vision of village life apply to all level of urban farms that India is now rapidly urbanizing along with many other countries in South Asia? One part of urban agriculture, which I must mention, is soil-less farming. Again, that's a bio system, bio-innovation, aquaculture, aquaponics, hydroponics, aeroponics, aerofarm, and other forms of soil-less culture to produce food within the city limit, which is very, very critical. So toward the end, the mantra that I would like to leave with you for your discussion is that the healthy soil equal to healthy diet, equal to healthy people, equal to healthy ecosystem, equal to healthy planetary processes. We should implement this. This comes from Upanishad. Kshati Jal Pavak Gagan Samira. Panch Tattva Adam Sharira. That's exactly this translation means. Thank you. Have a great discussion.